Good morning, beautiful people. Welcome back to the second hour of LoveBabz, LoveTalk. I'm Babz Rawls-Ivy. I am delighted this morning to have Isaac Mizrahi, not the designer, but the co-president and chief executive officer of Alma, which is a Hispanic, award-winning Hispanic ad agency. Good morning.
Good morning. Pleasure
How
to be
are you?
here.
Welcome.
I'm doing fantastic.
So tell me about Alma. It's a Hispanic ad agency. Is that accurate?
Yes. We are a Hispanic ad agency. We were founded by two Mexican Americans that were working in the advertising business in the US in the 90s. And they realized that there was a big opportunity to change the way marketers, brands, they talk to the Latino population, the Hispanic population in the US. So they founded this agency since 1994. And since then we've been growing and evolving also our positioning. So right now we see ourselves also as a multicultural agency because American is multicultural, right? And of course, our DNA, our core is the Latino core, the DNA that represents us and makes us, including myself. I'm an immigrant myself from South America. So that's what we do.
So I want people to understand that Hispanic, Latino, it's not just in America, it's not just Puerto Ricans. It is people from South America. It is people
Absolutely.
From all over the place. So talk a little bit about those very nuanced differences in the culture.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, maybe we can start with Hispanic and Latinos because some of us, we use this in different ways. Honestly, Latino is people who come from Latin America. That's it. It's a geography association. Hispanic is an ethnicity. People that were raised or come from countries that were colonized by Spain. That's where the Hispanic comes from. It's from Spain. Latin America was colonized mostly by two countries, Spain and Portugal. I actually from Brazil. Brazilians don't speak Spanish. We are not colonized by Spain. We were colonized by Portugal. But I am Latino. We are Latin Americans because Brazil is in Latin America. However, for the purpose of this conversation, a lot of people use Hispanics and Latino. I like Hispanics more because it's gender neutral, and I think that's respectful. But it's okay. Now, going to your question, there are approximately 62 million Hispanics in America, which is huge, right? Is bigger than some countries. And the majority of them are either from Mexico or Mexico descendants. Approximately 64% of all Hispanics in America, they are from Mexican descendancy. Then the remaining is split between Puerto Ricans, as you mentioned. We have Cubans, we have Central Americans and South Americans, but the majority are from Mexican descendants. And while they are all Hispanics, they bring a little bit of some nuances and differences that makes things a little bit exciting. The 62 million Hispanics, they are not all the same. They look differently. For instance, you see me on this recording. I'm a white person, right? My family is from Brazil and from Europe and from Middle Eastern, so I'm a little bit of a melting pot. But you have Afro Latinos, you have biracial. And while most Hispanics speak Spanish, even some words and some habits are a little bit different. I am a big sports person. I don't know if you are.
I am. But
in Mexico and
football.
Actually my home country, we love football, but the other football, like what
soccer.
You guys call soccer. In other countries like Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic, baseball is extremely popular. And I know in New York there's the big Dominican Puerto Rican community, and they're crazy about baseball. The food may be a little bit different. The music that we listen can be a little bit different, but we are also connected by a lot of things that makes us a community in common. Our connection to family, our connection to some values of spirituality, the way that we tell our stories, the way we communicate, the way that we express ourselves with colors, with emotions. All of this makes us who we are, but we're not all the same, but we have a lot of commonalities that differentiate ourselves from the quote unquote traditional mainstream white Caucasian community. And that's what makes my role, my job important, because those nuances, those differences can impact the way they consume products and services. So
Mhm.
going back to advertising and marketing, the way a lot of Hispanics in America are raised, the influences from their grandmothers, grandfathers, their parents shape the way they see products and services. Understanding that is extremely important for marketers in America. That's why they come to people like us, not only because we do advertising for Hispanics, but we understand these nuances to shape their strategies to grow their businesses.
So now, do you think businesses are listening? Because I know there have been some missteps in marketing to communities, cultures other than white. As an
Yes.
African American woman, I understand the need for our voices to be centered and products to reflect our use. I get that. So tell us, when a business comes to you and says, you know what, we want to reach out to this particular population of folks, this community. Are they readily listening to you, and are they able to disassociate their own biases and what they think they know about the cultures to sort of hear what you have to say around how to market to Hispanic communities?
I think that's a great question. Most of them, they are. And I think I'm lucky because I have a lot of clients that come to us and they want to listen. Of course, they want to see data, they want to see research, they want to see insights. Sometimes we take them to the communities. There is nothing better than actually getting out of your bubble and visiting in local where they are, right? Talk to them directly. And Alma has built a reputation over the years that people tend to trust our managers, our executives, because we have significant experience in helping advertisers and brands build their businesses. But sometimes we may have the situation that you raise, and sometimes they may come from Hispanics themselves. They are in the corporate side that may have seen the world from their own lenses, right? And their own lenses, we need to honor them, but may not be the same experience than other Hispanics. And probably the same thing happens with the Black community, right? Even though we call this a 62 million segment, not all experiences are the same. And I think that's a little bit the beauty of it, because if you take away the business side of it and focus on the human side, this is about listening each other. This is about diversity of thinking, right? It's not my experience is better than yours. It's about how my experience can be honored by you, and how can I honor your experience? And together we build a more diverse and inclusive society. So I know we are talking about business, but at the same time, we are talking about living in community at the same time. And I love that perspective.
And so talk to me about the buying power of the Hispanic community, because at the end of the day, that's what businesses are concerned about, right? Like that's how they measure success. That's how they measure where to spend their money. Like what does that buying power look like?
It's around $1.3 trillion per year in purchasing power. There's a
Wow.
lot of money on the table. So Hispanic population represents approximately 19% of the whole country population, and it's growing. Only populations that are growing in the US are the Hispanics, the Blacks, and the Asian Americans. The white Caucasian population is declining. And this is not an opinion, this is data, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is census data. So marketers are looking, and you know how corporations, they look ahead 5, 10, 15 years, and they realize that the country is in the path towards a minority majority. And the question is, how can I adapt my business to actually capture the lion's share, the market share, the growth from this segment? So the $1.3 trillion that I mentioned represents a big opportunity, because while Hispanics represent 19% of the population, they represent a higher percentage of growth. If you only look at how are you growing and where the growth is coming from, the majority of consumer goods, B2C brands and companies, they're seeing growth coming from the minority segments, the diverse segments. And that's changing everything. I just came from a conference that I saw, a conference focused on multicultural marketing, organized by the Association of National Advertisers, the ANA. And I heard CMOs from several big organizations saying, the most of the growth that they're seeing today in 2002 is coming from diverse segments. If there were not the purchasing power of Hispanics, Asians, and Blacks, their businesses would not be growing. And this is fundamental because this is shaping the mindset to actually develop products and service, hiring people, developing packaging, developing advertising and communication, grassroots programs, PR programs, also respecting these minority segments because they're becoming more and more important for their business. So this is not charity anymore. This is not about feel good type of thing. This is really profit generation, revenue generation strategies. And I think that's exciting about where we are and with the times that we live right now. I'm very bullish about the future of multicultural advertising and business in America for years to come.
I think I share your excitement. So does this translate as the Hispanic buying power only grows and affluent starts to show up, and all the ships are rising in the sea? Do you think about the political implications of that? Do you pay attention to the political power that the Hispanic community could possibly grow and is growing and gaining and developing? Does that play a role in how you create advertising and marketing strategies for your companies?
I think that, it touches, it's impossible not to understand the political environment that we live, but we are trying to position to our clients and our prospects that the trends that we are seeing right now are independent from any political movement, because I cannot control the political movement. I cannot control if the country is going to one direction or the other direction. I may have my personal opinions that I try not to bring to my day-to-day job. What we try to do, and not only myself and my colleagues at Alma, but the industry overall, is to show that the demographic trends and the economic trends that we are facing, they're not going to go away, regardless of we're going to have a Congress that's red collar or blue collar, right? These are trends that are demographic and economic, and everybody needs to be ready for the changes that we're facing. Now, of course, with economic power, with the growth in demographics, I suspect and I expect, I think expect is better than suspect, that we're going to see more representation, that there are topics that are very important for minorities that needs to be addressed. And I'm not saying this from a Democratic or from a Republican perspective. It's just that there is a significant number of citizens of this country that are coming from a different background, and they want their voices heard too. And I think that's natural that this discussion is going to happen also on the political environment. But talking about something that I'm studying more, which is the multicultural and specifically the Hispanic, you read the same reports that I'm seeing, that Hispanics are actually going to not only to one party. There are a lot of Hispanics that actually are voting to the Republican Party in Texas and the Southwest, and that's okay. I don't think this is a monolithic type of situation. And honestly, that makes the important point that politicians cannot take minorities for granted. They actually have to work hard to listen and to make sure that they have policies from the right or from the left that address the aspirations and the needs for the minority segments in the country.
So as the Hispanic population grows, develops, changes, do y'all have opportunity to work with the LGBTQIA community, Latinx community? What does that look like? And I must say, I don't know if that would have been a conversation we could have had 20 years ago or 10 years ago or 15 years ago.
Absolutely. And we have to because, this is about inclusiveness for everybody, right? So this is not a discussion from ethnic or demographic standpoint. And I'll go one step further. I'll go back to your question, but I'll go one step further. As a marketer, I like the idea of segmentation, which means try to look for clusters of consumers that have something in common that you can address with the messaging, with the business proposition, and they react to your messaging. What we are discussing here is basically demographic, ethnic segmentation, right? But we could talk about single moms with kids. right? That's a segment. Then this should be represented. People over 55. That's a segment. So the beauty of the way I see the marketing function is that there are several opportunities that you look for segments, and the LGBTQ plus is an important segment in size and importance. Now, going back to your question, within the Hispanic segment, the Black consumer segment, the AAPI segment, there are LGBTQ members, and that creates the point that the experts call intersectionality. Basically, and as I mentioned to you, Afro-Latino is another intersectionality. You are based in New York. There are a significant number of Black Hispanics that are based in New York and other key markets that we also need to make sure that not all communication for Hispanics look white Caucasian, look Mexican, because there is diversity within diversity. The LGBTQ plus is a discussion that needs to happen within the demographic, the ethnic discussions that we have in America.
So talk to me about, and I've seen a little bit of this in places, the pushback from folks who are not Hispanic, not Black, not Asian, who sort of feel like the Hispanic population is encroaching because they see products in Spanish and they see advertising in Spanish and they see Hispanic families being portrayed in non-stereotypical ways. And that could make a population of folks who are seeing their numbers decrease nervous about their place. And can what you do, does that bear into how you talk to your companies who are global in their reach?
Yes, that's a great question. Well, first of all, I don't think the Hispanics or any other segment, they're here to take anybody's place, right? This is not a competition. We just want our voice to be heard. And going back to the beginning of this discussion, I am in the marketing and advertising business. I'm helping corporations to grow their business through the insights and the work of experts, subject matter experts on multicultural marketing. So we are not making things up when we portray Hispanics or Black families on screen. This is how the marketplace looks like. And actually, we are just having a very honest, we are turning the camera on to America. This is how America looks like. These are the compositions of families. And we just want to see them represented on screen and on messages, not because that's a desire, social justice desire only, because this is what consumers expect in 2022. If you talk to the youth, if you talk to the millennials, Generation Z, this is an important thing. They want to see not only physically the color of their skin or their accents, and this is a radio program, you can hear my heavy accent. I'm sorry for that. The accents.
Oh, don't be sorry. Why are you sorry?
But they want to see their stories. One of the things that we talk a lot about in advertising is authenticity. They want authentic stories out there. When you see something, a video on YouTube or a TV ad or a radio ad, the ideal reaction is somebody to say, well, that could be me. That's me with my grandma. That's a situation that I had with my friends of my family a few weeks ago, a few days ago. Create this connection that there is a feeling that the marketer, the advertiser understand their life. They don't want to be patronized in a superficial way. They really want authentic messages and authentic connections. And they want to see the advertiser also being part of the community. This is not about a transactional relationship. Show me what you're doing in my community. Showing what you are doing in terms of your commitment to my people, to my community. So this is 2022 modern marketing. This is different from 30 years ago, 40 years ago. Marketing is evolving. Forget, multicultural marketing. It's evolving in several other areas. Digital, influencer, email marketing, metaverse. The evolution of communications and marketing, it's out there for anybody to study. This is just another dimension. And there are advertisers and marketers that understand that. Procter & Gamble, McDonald's, PepsiCo, and there are others that may have to understand a little bit further. But this is this is something that, I don't think is going to change. This is not a trend that may disappear a few years from now. It's really a significant change that, for me personally, I think it's good. The more diverse the country, the more different opinions, the more different backgrounds, even languages. There are several research that shows that the brain benefits from bilingualism, that the brain actually performs better. I think that we're going to be actually a stronger society. We don't need to be everybody the same. We don't need to be under a one size fits all. We don't need to be like, it's only one perspective, one point of view. The business marketplace and the country and the society can be better when we admire, honor, and even we can disagree with different perspectives. I believe we're going to be stronger if we embrace that.
Do you feel a weight of carrying cultural stories into the advertising strategies that you create? Do you ever feel a sense that we might be losing some of our cultures? And I'm deliberately saying cultures because the Hispanic community is very vast and large. Do you feel some sense of responsibility to stay true or to stay connected or to try to instill some of those cultural aspects into any marketing strategy for a company? And should you?
That's a very deep question. I think we need hours, if not days, to discuss it. But but I'm not going to not try to answer. What I think it's deep, and let me explain to you why I think it's deep. Because culture is not static. Culture changes and evolves. So maybe a year from now, we're going to come back in the beginning of November and have a discussion in 2023, and there are some elements of culture that have evolved. And we need to recognize that. So the discussion is culture only tradition and heritage, or it's something that we actually create here in America? Let me give a personal example. I'm married and I have two kids, two boys. They were born in the US. And they represent what we at the agency, we call the fusionistas, the consumers that fusion two cultures, right? They embrace a lot of the American culture and they embrace a lot of the Latino, in my case, Brazilian culture. And that's okay. Actually, they love it. It's 100% Latino, 100% American. And they don't need to there is no trade-off. The moment that they eat an American Anglo food doesn't make them less Latino. The moment that they go and practice soccer doesn't mean that they don't like basketball with their Miami Heat jersey, right? There are no trade-offs. If you are doing something, doesn't mean that the other thing that you're not doing at that moment is less important. And that goes back to the diversity discussion. So I think that marketers and people in this industry, we're always looking for a way that we can tell authentic stories. And authentic stories may change over time. It's not only about the past and the heritage, which is very important for us Latinos, but also what we are creating in this day-to-day. Every day we have the opportunity to create culture, and a culture that mixes and fusion the different cultures that we have in America.
That's pretty good for a deep question. That's a good daggone answer, Isaac. So tell me about this book you got coming out. Is it out yet, or is it coming out? Hispanic Market Power. And what got you up at night to say, you know what? We need a book about this.
Well, the book is not out yet. It's going to be out in the first quarter of next year, 2023. I don't have a date yet. It's in pre-production, so it's gone. It's out of my hands, thank God. But let me tell you where the book came from. I have a very diverse background on what I do too. I came from corporate side for many years. I came to America as an executive from the Coca-Cola company, a company that I have a lot of love and passion still today. And I became an expert on multicultural marketing. I work for Coca-Cola, for Babz, for Nextel, for Sprint Corporation. And over 20 years, I've been in the US for 23 years. Over 20 years, I became focused on multicultural marketing. So I have significant corporate experience, which is very challenging. And for the past 14 years, almost, I've been in the agency side. So, and working and collaborating with several several clients from different industries. So I have kind of a unique view of not only preaching the theory, but having to put hands-on on executing these programs, understanding what works, what doesn't work, and I feel that this unique experience allows me to share with marketers, experienced marketers, people that are trying to start to do multicultural marketing, the perspective. I've been writing a monthly column on Forbes.com about multicultural marketing for the past five years, and I get a lot of positive comments. But the columns are one-off; they are not sequential. And a lot of people said, you know what? I wish I had one place that I can see the stories in a more clustered way. I write about Hispanic, African American, Asian America, LGBTQ. So I decided to start collecting the stories, the articles on the Hispanic marketing, which is the one that I spend most of my time, and because of my background, I feel very comfortable with. And those stories were clustered in a more sequential way. And I added case studies from the industry, some case studies from Alma, where I work, some case studies from great agencies that are in the marketplace that they are my colleagues. Some people call competitors, but they're my colleagues, and additional copy, additional ideas that I haven't written in my article. So there's some original content. So the book, it's a compilation focused on the Hispanic market power. That's the name of the book. There is a subtitle, America's Business Growth Engine. It's coming Q1 next year from Routledge. That's the editing house. And there's going to be a compilation of my articles, a compilation of case studies, and some original content. And the idea that this can educate newcomers, students at college, experienced seasoned executives, CEOs, CFOs, board of directors. There's a little bit of everything that wants to understand how to prepare and how to engage with effective Hispanic marketing for the years to come.
So will you go on tour with this book? Like, will you hit all the colleges and universities? Like is there a plan?
I don't know. Maybe with this radio interview today, some people are going to raise their hand and say, I'm interested on. Of course, I have a day job as the CEO of Alma, but the book's going to be available in all major areas. I think there's going to be a website. So whoever is interested, your listeners can connect with me through LinkedIn, through Twitter, and we can talk. I'll be happy to talk to anyone interested on multicultural marketing, Hispanic marketing, and it's going to be my pleasure. And I hope the book can help the new generation, the next generation of multicultural marketers.
I love it. So tell me about the people who work for Alma. We got about 5-6 minutes left. Tell me about the people who work for Alma and why do you think they're there?
Do you know what Alma means?
No. What does it mean?
Soul.
Soul?
Soul. Yeah.
Like James Brown soul? Like
James Brown soul, but
okay.
Soul from the emotional connection. Like, Alma, this name was selected because there is a deep understanding that advertisers need to connect at an emotional level. Only having a rational message that goes straight to the brain may not be enough. You need to connect with the heart and the soul. And so we see our clients soulmates, and we see our employees, our teams as soulmates. We call them soulmates. So why our soulmates work at Alma? I think that we try to create a culture every day that allows them to be the best versions of themselves. It's a very strong culture based on curiosity, collaboration, and accountability. And we try to hire nice people that actually knows to deal with each other. And people say, well, it's funny, but if you are technically perfect, the amazing person, but you're not nice to others, Alma may not be the right place for you to work, because the creative business, the creative industry, and you are in the creative industry, it's a collaborative industry that we build from each other. We listen from each other. We can fight, we can disagree, we can, be passionate, and we are passionate, of course, Latinos, but there is a spirit of collaboration, of building on each other's insights and ideas. And we try to create an environment that respects that and takes the best of each one. And it's been working. The feedback that we hear from our soulmates, it's great. We track, we do research, We interview people. We even talk to people that leave Alma for better opportunities. And, a lot of them come back after that. A lot of them, even if they come back, they still have fond memories of working with us. So we are approximately 140 people, most of them in South Florida, but some of them in New York, some of them in Chicago, in the West Coast, in Texas. And most of us, we are Hispanic, some of us first generation immigrants, some of them second, third generation. There are non-Hispanics. There are people from other backgrounds here too. We have people from England. There are 31 nationalities in the agency. It's like a little
It's like a UN.
It's a little United Nations. So here's the deal. I probably this. In a few weeks, we're gonna have the soccer World Cup happening.
Yes.
And so that's when enemies are made here, the agency. Because with 31 nationalities, there's a good chance that some people are gonna, look a little bit weird to other people when they're fighting in the field. But after that, we have some drinks, some beer, we celebrate, and that's okay. But it is a little bit like a United Nations office here.
I love it. So before you go, Isaac, what's the best book you read all year?
Oh man, I'm in love with an author called Arthur Brooks. And Arthur, it's a writer of several books. And actually, I think the book that I read from him recently is called From Strength to Strength. It's not a multicultural marketing book, but it is a book that helps me to find my own person, self, my own self-understanding, a sense of purpose, understanding what happiness means, but also helps to put in perspective the business persona that I am, and trying to understand that, I'm not the business persona, I am who I am. So I'm reading a lot of Arthur Brooks. I'm following some articles he writes about happiness, and even some spiritual side, but not from a organized religious standpoint, really more broad spiritualism. So I love those books. At least for me, they were very inspirational.
I've enjoyed this conversation, Isaac.
Me too. Thanks for inviting me.
I hope you come back in the next quarter so you can really talk about the book.
So you read the book and you tell me what you think about it. Only if it's good. If it's bad, you just send me an email.
Well, you make sure a copy gets to my desk. I will read it, and I'd love to have you come back and talk about it. I so appreciate this. This was a great conversation. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for inviting me.
All right, I'll see you soon. Take good care.
Bye. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Take care, guys.
Thank you, Harry. I'm out. That was good.
That was a good interview, Babz.
Wasn't that good? I love that, Harry. So I've been wanting to talk about the Hispanic marketing culture stuff for a very long time, because I think it is one of the fastest growing communities in this country, and I think people have so many myths and misnomers about that, and one way to sort of dispel that is to talk about the buying power of this community, and what that looks like, and to talk about the diversity in these communities.
Where is he located?
I think he's in Miami. I want to say Florida. I think in Miami.
Yeah, because he just looked too relaxed.
And
he has to be one of those environments.
He ain't in New York.
Yeah.
He looked too. And if he's in Florida and he's not crying over this governor, he might be out of the country.
Yeah. Anyway, so I will see you tomorrow.
Yes, thank you for last night, and I will see you tomorrow. Thank y'all. We'll slash and burn the election night tomorrow.
Yeah. All right. So thank you for listening to LoveBabz Love Talk on WNHH LP 103.5 FM, your home for community radio. And cue music. I feel like my space is so much bigger now. It's like, right? The background just seems...
If you angle it right, Harry, you won't even see the sink. Woo!